Aloha everyone and welcome to another Tinker's Academy video. I'm your host Kay Elmer, and in this video I'd like to share with you my 30-day trial of a Water Soluble C60 product. It's also known as a Florinol. Now I just recently did a video about this class of product, this new C60 product that's on the market, and I'll put a link to that video in the video description if you'd like to know more about it. So my trial here was essentially just 30 days of trying a Florinol product. This went from April 14th to May 13th this year. The product's name is an SFW 200 Premium, and it's produced by a company called Spacelaba. Now the compound that's specific to this product is a blend of a C60 Florinol and a C70 Florinol. So the chemistry nomenclature would be C60OHNN plus a C70OHNN, where NN, which would be the hydroxy pairs attached to the C60 molecule, is greater than 40. That's all the seller would disclose. I'm not sure what each one of these different Florinols were, or what the concentrations of each is in terms of ratio. This is it. This is the description. Now the dosage, there was two different dosages, and one was just for general wellness. These are recommendations by Spacelaba, where I just followed the general wellness, which was 1 drop per 15 kilogram body weight daily. Their other recommendation was for individuals with more acute issues to take 2 drops. Okay, but I went with general wellness. Now the objective, which I need to make really clear here, is I don't have a laboratory or access to one, so I couldn't do any deep type of testing. But what I did was simply just take the Florinol for 60 days and compare that to taking C60, which I have done for many, many years. So I am very familiar with the effects of C60 on my person, and I wanted to experience, what it was like taking Florinols and what was the difference. And that's really it. It's completely my opinion, and I want to stipulate that clearly. Okay, so now how the manufacturer or the seller describes the product is simply this: is that SFW or 200 Premium stimulates collagen biosynthesis, the main component of connective tissues. It possesses powerful antioxidant properties, neutralizing free radicals and preventing their damage or the damaging effects on bodily tissues. It reduces inflammation, improves blood circulation, and provides overall antidepressant, immune-regulating, and sedative effects. And that's how they described it, and this is what it looks like. So now I've got it compared to their C60 oil product, which they sent me along with the Florinol product to try. Thank you very much, Dimitri. This was something that was provided to me. I did not buy it. So I kind of want to point out right here, this is kind of a new thing for C60 people who take it, that when it's in water, it's clear water. You can't see it. There's nothing floating. And so you can just see right here that you're basically just taking water with the Florinol in it. And so that's what the label looks like. And this is what was provided to me by Dimitri. So thank you very much for that. So that's what I've been trying for the last 30 days. And to kind of give you a little bit of an example here, this is their oil product, their C60 in oil product. And basically it looks just like any other one. You can see the color. It's kind of lighter a color than the one I make, but the idea here is they also make a C60 oil product. So now here's my experience. Again, some background. So I think for people who don't know me, I've been taking C60 in oil since 2017. So it's been quite a few years. And I have also, in that time frame, have taken different dosages and in just, basically taken it in all the different scenarios you can imagine. And one of those scenarios is I often will stop taking it, for like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, in order to, just not allow my body to get used to having it. It's that whole hermetic effect of trying to, basically randomize your supplementation so your body doesn't get stuck with it. So I do definitely know, because of all the years I've been taking C60 in oil, what it feels like to have it, to be taking it, right? And what it feels like to not be taking it. And I'm very familiar with that. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I do know. So I just want to stipulate that's my background here in terms of being able to make this comparison. So the very first one that I wanted to kind of just share with you is I only kind of have 2 tests where I could actually make a fair comparison. And the 2 tests are how my body reacts to toxins on and off C60, and then another one is how my body reacts to sunlight on and off. And again, these experiences that I'm commenting on is something that is shared by almost all the other C60 individuals that are taking it that I know. I mean, I read this all the time in forums and in our chat group. So I'm experiencing the same thing you guys are. So here's what I experienced specifically, though, when on C60 and when on Fullernals, when it regards to MSG. Now, I've done multiple tests on myself with MSG. I'm one of those individuals who's highly sensitive to it. It's a neurotoxin, and it really will mess with your brain. But for me, I'm actually, I think, allergic to it, because if I take it, if I eat anything with it, and I'm not taking C60, then when I eat it, I will break out in hives and I will get incredibly itchy. And that happens 100% of the time. Okay. So I started taking 660 years ago, and I haven't had any issues with MSG while I'm taking 660. It's in those brief periods where I stop taking MSG, or, when I stop taking C60, where I'll go eat something and then I'll have a physical reaction to it. So when I was taking Fullernals, this is my protocol, is I take C60 every day. I had been, and so I stopped at the beginning of April. I waited 2 weeks, right, to just kind of let my body flush it out. If you look at how long does C60 last in the human body research, it's anywhere from 3 to 10 days, depending on organ. So they all kind of agree 10 days is about when your body's eventually going to flush it out. So I went past 10 days in following that protocol so that I could start fresh on Fullernals. So after 2 weeks, I started my 30-day trial. And then during that trial, I waited 2 weeks for the kind of Fullernals to kind of get inside me, and get saturated with them. And then I tried the MSG test, which was simply going out and eating a whole lot of Japanese food. And foods that I know are very high in in MSG. And I had a reaction, which was something I never would have if I took just regular C60 in oil. But here's the deal. Although I had a reaction on a severity level compared to what I normally would experience, the severity was far less. So there's two things that came from that. One, I had a reaction even to begin with, and I never do on C60 oil. But this, it wasn't so bad. It was, I would say, if it was like I had to give a percentage, I would say it was probably maybe 30% as bad as a normal reaction to MSG, where again, breakout and hives get real itchy. So that was what happened to me. So I was kind of really surprised that it happened, because I haven't had an MSG experience for a while. So then the other one too, though, was nicotine. Now, I'm a cigar smoker, and I enjoy one a day. And so if for those of you who smoke cigars, you will know what I mean by this is before I ever started taking 660, I mean, I don't remember having an incident of kind of like taking too much nicotine for years and years. But before C60, in the many years, because I've been a cigar smoker since my 20s, on occasion, and this happens to you if you're a cigar smoker, on occasion you'll get a really strong cigar, or somehow you get exposed to too much of your own secondhand smoke, and you will kind of get way too much nicotine. You kind of do a little OD on nicotine, and I refer to that as gagging out. You just get nauseous, and it's just like you just had way too much nicotine. It's one of the reasons I don't smoke Cuban cigars. They're just way too strong, and prefer Dominicans. But I digress. So I haven't had basically a cigar OD nicotine thing experience for many years, like way before. Again, all of a sudden now, 2 weeks into this, I was outside having a cigar, and I just kind of gagged on it. It was just one of my big cigars, and I hadn't gagged on it for quite a long. I was so shocked, and I was so sick, and it was only in retrospect that I realized that I hadn't been gagged. I hadn't had a gag out moment for 7 years, right? Basically, or as far as I can remember. So it was kind of a surprise. I didn't plan on this being a test, because I smoke cigars every day, and I didn't even consider that the C60 was actually helping me. So I was very shocked by that. But that's my takeaway. Just like with the MSG takeaway, my takeaway on my accidental nicotine overdose was that this was. C60 was keeping it suppressed for years, but Fullernals had zero effect on what happened to me. And by the way, just as a little side note, inhaling hydrogen when that happens is the best response you could ever have. I was literally flipped 180 degrees in 20 minutes on hydrogen. Anyway, so Yeah, so the nicotine thing was, yeah, it didn't have any effect. The Fullerenols had no beneficial effect at all in that regard, in that specific accidental test. So the another one too now is the reaction to prolonged exposure to sunlight. So that's something that if you guys know, and this has been commented on in the Telegram chat group. People who take C60 oil don't sunburn. And so, so I haven't had a sunburn in years. You guys know, I used to live in Hawaii, right? So, and I've only been on the mainland 2 years. So I've had 30 something years of living in tropical paradise, and I was exposed to a lot of sunlight. And then even, where I live now. So I never and haven't been getting sunburns for as long as I've been taking C60. So what I did was wait until I got saturated with Fullerenols. And at the 3-week mark, went to a ball game. It was sitting in the bleachers by third base, direct sunlight. This was actually part of my experiment. Let's go to the ballpark. And so I'm watching the baseball game. I'm sitting just in the bleachers, fourth row, right behind third base, the dugout, and I'm exposed 100% to sun. And I wore shorts and a t-shirt. And so that was my test. I knew I was going to be at the ball game because I normally do not like sitting in hot sun. I just don't do that. I just try to avoid it. So, what happened is I brought my daughter along, who's pretty white, and so we're sitting there together watching the ball game. And essentially, it was 2 hours of direct sunlight until she got so pink we had to leave. There was just she was in danger, and it was over 80 degrees. So here's what happened though. She got pink, had a light sunburn the next day. She doesn't take C60 oil, no matter how much I try to get her to take it. It's your kids, right? You give them bottles and they just ignore you. Anyway, I digress yet again. So it was 2 hours direct sunlight. She got sunburned, and we're fairly the same whiteness, and I had zero effect. Nothing. I didn't even turn pink. I got brown. I got browner, than I normally am, but that's it. I mean, I didn't burn. That's the third part of this test was that the Fullerenols was doing the same thing that C60 does. And so that was great. So my overall conclusion on my 30-day trial was that there is an effect, that you do feel some C60 effects. And it's weird that it was a complete different one between toxins and sunlight. So, so the conclusions that I have is that, there's two real questions. Is it as good as C60? That's one question. The second question is it better than C60? So I just want to nail the second one right out. I did not find it better, but I did find it similar to C60, just taking C60. But if I had to make a choice between the two, I would definitely keep taking C60 in oil because the fact that the whole nicotine thing was surprising, and the fact that I had the reaction the way I did with MSG. So that's my conclusion, guys. That's just my personal opinion. I highly recommend. I mean, this was really interesting that you guys try the product. Try either there's Spacelabas or any other Fullerenol, but I think it's worth a try because we're all biohackers, so why not give it a try? Anyway, that's my experience. Just wanted to share it with you. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I appreciate your guys watching the videos and sticking out this far. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. And if you want to learn more, come over to Tinker's Academy on my blog, and this is where I have a huge section on C60. All right, guys, have a great day. Aloha.